Hello, welcome to our CWTC Get Connected community podcast, where we share experiences, promote services, create awareness and highlight opportunities available for residents of Oldham. Today we are discussing about family interference in relationships. When love gets complicated by opinions, pressure or control from the family closest to us. Whether it's in-laws overstepping boundaries, parents or friends influencing decisions, or sibling causing friction, we'll explore how family involvement can either support or sabotage a relationship. Why it happens, how to recognize it, and most importantly, how to protect your peace without burning bridges. We are delighted to invite Waqar Abbasi, a well-known personality in community relationships in our studio, who can help us to understand the topic further. Waqar Sahib, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. I know you're off to Spain tomorrow.
Yes.
Wonderful sunshine, peace,
yes,
harmony.
we got sunshine here as well, fortunately.
But
yes, more sunshine, yes.
Lovely. Thank you very much for coming to the studio.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for your invitation.
It's a very sensitive topic.
Yes,
But before we start, tell us a bit about yourself and your career.
Well, I came to UK in 1990, so almost kind of 27, 28 years ago now.
Okay.
And went to Canada before then, 1988, and worked for BBC for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then I studied in the meantime as a student. So I did my master's, BA from Salford University, master's from London. And then I've been working with community sector radio stations, set up your first ever Muslim and Asian radio station, Manchester Heritage Radio.
Sure.
And that's it really. I'm right now I'm self-employed and freelance journalist.
Lovely.
Yes.
And enjoying your wonderful time.
Enjoying my life. I've been doing this for too long, since the age of 26.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Thank
you got to
absolutely
enjoy what little you got.
Excellent.
It's not good to have too much and not enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. How important are the boundaries, do you think, when it comes to friends and family involvement in a marriage?
I think one of the most toxic things, in my opinion, that can happen nowadays, it wasn't like this in the past, I believe, is family and friends getting involved in a relationship. I think modern youngsters know where the boundaries are nowadays. But I think we are in this crossroads of generations where I think older generations are not as clear about these things as the younger ones are. And I think that's where all this conflict and confusions are coming about.
And I think it's about establishing clear boundaries between the relationships is so important.
Yes, and I think especially if you have a subjective view of this, parents are the most subjective people when it comes down to having an impact on relationship, because somebody's messing with their child. And that somebody is usually on both sides is an outsider, and that's where I think biggest injustice, I call it. If parents can be in this middle ground of thinking, I need to say the right thing that is suitable for both.
So it's about how do you draw the line?
I think basic morality and ethics plays a role in this. Once your child is married, this person is now committed to another individual. It no longer belongs to you as a person. And to know that part is very crucial. And secondly, I think to know that now they have a relationship, how much am I supposed to get involved? One of the saddest things as a friend I saw, not as a parent, because I was away from my parents most of my life, is that how you advise friend with your best of intentions, and husband and wife make up, and then you're left as a villain. Because they say, he told me that when I was. So don't be a friend at that. When somebody's asking you about relationship, don't be their friend. Be an objective observer. Just say what is fair thing to say. That is for both of your friends and his partner or her partner. And I think it is a very toxic world. I think people shouldn't get involved in relationship in the first place, whether they're parents or friends. But if you are asked to get involved, then you have to remain in this kind of neutral place.
And you have to uphold the right and respect for private and family life.
Absolutely.
And law states that.
Absolutely, yes.
Lovely. In terms of the common ways that family and friends interfere in the couple's relationship. What are those common ways, do you think, people do that?
In my opinion, I think it's usually social media is becoming quite a dangerous place to be.
Sure.
People are making comments without thinking, they're
Yes.
kind of reacting to
Yes.
things, and that
Yes.
becomes quite dangerous. And I think another one is, most of the time a friend will come to you, a child will come to you, or a parent will come to you, or sometime your son-in-law, daughter-in-law will come to you.
Yeah.
They're asking for advice. They're not asking for your interference.
To take over.
And that's where that's where
control.
the balance has to be struck.
Yeah.
That you are advising. You're not. Yes, absolutely. You're not getting involved.
Yes.
Personally, and getting involved personally becomes them and us.
Yes.
And that's where everything goes crazy. That's where the war starts in the world. In fact, not only a little relationship.
Yeah.
As soon as you start talking them and us against your citizens, against your brethren, humans around the world, that's where you become a bit of a not very well in your head.
Yeah,
You need to go and see a psychologist after
So
that.
in terms of the relationships, that there are cultural and general, generational differences.
Of course, I think coming from an Asian perspective or a minority perspective, I think we are in the worst of places.
Sure.
For a number of reasons, really. We are bringing up our children in a very different culture than when the original people have come from, number one. Number two, at times nowadays people are bringing people from back home to marry here. That's really lethal, because then you're really talking difference in cultures of husband and wife. Marriage, my beloved brother, has a lot of challenges. We know that we've been married. And if you add all these little caviars on top of the marriage, it becomes really a struggle for everybody. And I think it becomes a very dangerous place to be, and it's a very hurtful place.
Absolutely. But because we're talking about the cultural and generational factors, but they can be quite dominant and shaping the behaviors.
Yes. I think as an immigrant people, we have this idealistic culture that is not static wherever you came from. That culture has moved on. So when we got somebody who's married here, for example, we expect them to be like us. But I'm from 1980s. And then I'm British since then. So I have more British about me than I have any other country in the world. So what happens is it's a sociological fact that when an immigrant leaves the country, he's then trapped in this time zone. He thinks his country is same as it was in 80s, 70s, 60s or 50s. Fact is that the country has moved on decades and the people have changed dramatically. So when people are marrying a girl or a boy from there, they think it'll be like me. If it's a boy, he thinks it's like me, and a girl, but it's not like you. It's another generation, another time. Social media has come about and everything else.
And the extended family involvement.
Yes.
How does that actually shape things for the couple?
I've been a loner most of my life, but what I observed with friends and other family members, that it is very toxic. I think when any couple in any relationship, if they don't move on, because that also, at the end of the day, we must understand it's to do with the couple. Whether it's a cultural thing or it's not a cultural thing, it's a local kids marrying each other. It's about these two people. And one of them is stuck somewhere in the past with the psychological issues they had with the parents, because some children don't get enough attention, for example, at home. So when they move to a new relationship and they have children, suddenly they get all the attention from their parents. And because they didn't have it, they will abandon their partner and go closer to the parent, because they're trying to have this something they missed. Because most of the time grandparents are more closer to grandchildren than they were to their own children. And I think I've seen many friends of mine where a child is seeking approval that was pending 30 years ago, 20 years ago. And I think that's where the psychology plays a role. The couple has to be strong enough, and that conversation belongs to the couple originally or finally, to say how much we want them to get involved. Most of the time it's to do with the issues of a child, of a partner who is stuck in the past with some issues that they have not resolved yet.
So just expanding on that in terms of the influence from the in-laws. Can that create a conflict in a marriage?
Of course. But not only at the end of the day, I think when children get married, depending on how close they were to their parents, fact is that a parent will always take a child's side. And that's where the mess happens, I think, because you're not being objective, you're being subjective. And again, it comes to that original thing where the wars start in the world, starting from relationship. It becomes them and us. This girl or this boy came into our family and look the way they're behaving. So I think, in all honesty, if it is possible at all, I think people should marry within the closest culture possible. So your issues are, you are aware of each other's issues. If it is not possible and you end up with somewhere distant, or there are people who are culturally so different that they get involved with your relationship, it's generally how you take life as, for example. Some people are vindictive and you have to, they call it toxic people. They exist, unfortunately, whether we like it or not. They don't have clean hearts. They are not very well-intended people. And they exist in every place, every location.
So in order to sort of preserve the couple's autonomy, it's about ensuring that you establish and maintain these healthy boundaries.
And distance. Healthy distance, if you will. Yes. So you have your quality time with your parents, but don't drag the whole thing into it, because that's where it becomes, mishmash.
So when does this friendly advice as such become an interference?
I think as soon as somebody starts making a decision for you to say, oh, you should do this. As soon as somebody says you should do this, they just cross the line. They say, I think that's not a bad idea. I think that's not a good idea.
So how can the couples actually handle unwanted opinions?
I had a very strange experience, for example, as a young man. I'm not talking about marriage, generally about life. And we lacked...
You're still looking young, by the way.
Thank you so much. I'll pay you 50 pounds later. But generally in life, when I went to Canada for the first time, as a young man, I was given induction. I was told what the Canadian laws are. I was told what the laws and what the culture of the Canada is, and everything else. I spent 3 weeks just learning that, because I was official who was going there as a young youth exchange program. And this word induction lacks in marriages, it lacks in relationships, and lacks in immigration. And I've been suggesting, for example, to Home Office many occasions, listen, if anybody is coming from anywhere in the world, they have a right to be told what they're getting themselves into. So spend 2-3 weeks with them, charge them for it. It's not a free course. A person goes and we say to them, this is Britain, this is our culture, this is our ways, these are our laws, this is how people live generally. So that person is aware. It's no good for me for you to start shouting at me and calling me names if I come in with the shoes. When you never told me I'm not allowed to have shoes in the house. I'm supposed to be inducted, have some guidance, give me some indication, what are you expecting? So when I went to Canada, I was told, and since then I'm almost like ambassador of where I came from, because I'm always aware this is the place I'm going to. So I can live very comfortably in Spain because I respect that culture and I do things for it. And I expect same back from the host culture as well. I'm very comfortable living here. I live some middle of nowhere. Most people don't feel comfortable for minorities living. I don't go around, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't fornicate or anything, but at the same time, I mix well wherever I go, because it's a mutual
so it's about understanding the conditions, the environment, the respect for each other.
I personally
so the couple, in order to eliminate unwanted opinions.
I sometimes think
it's better to be clear. And to know that there's a clear boundary in how much we can talk with other people. Really.
For example, I used to work with Help the Aged. And now I'm 56, and I used to suggest that to them as well. Because to me, induction is very important no matter where you're getting yourself into. We do it at work. If the young man wants to join us as an employee, we give him induction. It's a necessary thing, it's a legal thing. You have to give them induction. When you get married, which is the most important decision of your life, there's no organization like yours or any other who says, come here, we show you how to manage your marriage, because this is a very different place you're going to get yourself into. When you are immigrating somewhere, there's no induction. When you are, for example, when you are getting old, Now I'm 56 and I happen to have worked in the aged, so I know roughly what's coming up ahead of me. I need to get a bungalow in the next 4 or 5 years, for example. Flat on 7th floor with no lift is no good to me. And I was able to advise people. They don't listen, but because of that induction I have with Help the Aged, I was able to advise a lot of elderly.
So in terms of the professional induction, it's very important that you go to the right people, involve the right organizations who has a legal authority or legal knowledge how to put things together.
Absolutely.
You mentioned about the social media earlier on, about how it impacts opinions, etc. How can people control that situation?
We have, in my house, for example, I'm a married person with 2 children, and in my house, we don't have much social media, simply because we know it causes huge amount of issues. Nobody bossed around. I didn't say to my son, you can't have it. But I told him goods and bads of social media. I said, you might just click on a like on some comment that you agreed with. XYZ getting killed in XYZ place. I agree it's wrong. But I said that could land you in a very dangerous place because there's somebody near you who serves another agenda, gets paid for it, and happens to be very powerful. They can get you in jail just for saying, I agree, don't kill children. It's a beautiful thing to say for a young teenager. But there might be law around the corner that says, no, you go to jail for saying even that. So why get yourself in that place in the first place?
Because there's many unsolicited opinions, and it's open to public scrutiny.
And it doesn't, in relationship, you're still talking about relationship. It doesn't allow you that emotional or temporal flexibility. Sometimes I'm very upset. I say something, I don't mean it. If I say, don't kill children, I mean it if I have to say that. But you know what I mean, something very small in relationship, in friendship. You just off the cuff remark, we call it in English. You make that remark and suddenly it has implications that go. So if you're a father, for example, in a relationship, and WhatsApp group, you just said, that's very nasty, son, why did you do that? And suddenly your son-in-law's parents got involved. They said, no, that's not nasty, but why? It's a war.
Well, in a legal context, this shared information online can be used as evidence in family court as well.
Absolutely.
So you have to be very careful and do that. Thank you, Waqar. That's really good. In terms of a husband and a wife, takes their families or friends' side over their partner. Tell me about the damage it can actually cause.
Huge damage, especially if one of them is seeking fairness. If one of them is submitting to everything, every abuse, second one is unleashing, then it becomes a habitual. So it becomes a norm of that family.
And it's about putting people against each other.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And I personally think, and I always say to my children, for example, my friends' children, and I say to young people here, a man who offers you the first spliff or cigarette or anything that is not good for your health, that is not your friend. That's your worst enemy. In a relationship, it's same.
And any disagreement that you have has to be resolved somewhere or the other. So isn't it best to resolve it amicably and together?
Between yourselves, yes, of course, yes.
At the end of the day, that's what's going to happen.
And there's a good old rule of all businessmen, most successful businessmen. They say, I'll hear all the opinions. I won't block you, I won't be nasty to you. I'll hear it, but I'll do what I like.
And at the end of the day, you have to prioritize your marital relationship.
Precisely.
Particularly when you have children.
Absolutely. And I think one thing one must understand, that when you get married, it's a new world. Absolutely. You have to really mutate almost into it.
And it's a fantastic opportunity.
Absolutely.
To live a life together.
Absolutely. When you relocate, it's a fantastic opportunity. When I was a teenager, I was a very troublesome child. When I was on a plane on my way to Canada, I thought I will not do any of the things I did in the past, simply because it's a new journey. It's a golden opportunity. I got rid of all the groups I was in and all this, not very nice youngsters. I don't have them. They can't influence me no more. I'm all alone in this world. Now I'm going to be a better human being. And I think that changed me, and I never visited even those people back.
Yeah. And when you have a partner, you're living for each other.
Yes.
When you have the children, it's moments to be enjoyed, to share,
Absolutely.
and miss out and fulfill the things that you missed out in
Yes.
your life. And as a family, you grow, live, and die together.
And one of the biggest mistake people make is this assumption that once you get married or get involved with somebody, you can stay the same.
Yeah.
You have to mutate a little.
Yeah.
You have to go to this middle place,
Yes.
and that person is coming to the same. And same applies to children. Once you have your child,
Yes.
that relationship has almost a holy significance. Because
That's
they're responsible for
another
this life.
topic I think it'll be lovely to discuss when
Yes.
you're back from Spain. We'll do
God
that,
willing,
the
yes.
impact that this has on children.
Yes.
So in terms of the family influence that takes place, there are financial decisions and implications that could actually impact the whole relationship. How can you actually resolve these risks of really having such an impact on one's career and relationship, your family? How can you actually deal with that?
Are we talking about, just to clarify, are we talking about somebody paying money to their parents, or are we talking about...
Well, when people are trying to sway financial implications,
Yes. I think as a parent and as a child as well, as a young person, married person, if somebody is using money to blackmail you and have influence over your relationship, it's almost like somebody is giving you drugs to, have some... I wouldn't even accept that.
Or vice versa, if decisions, situations are being created to obtain money on false basis, that could actually destroy a family.
You mean the people are... Yes, I think that is happening quite a lot. It's a very complicated subject coming from a minority perspective. A lot of people from ethnic minority communities came from a very poor countries. Unlike us Brits, who have, worst case scenario, you're an adult, if worst case scenario, you're not working, there's no hope anywhere, you can still go and get enough money to eat that day. We have a social systems in place. In developing countries, they don't have none of that. So they have to use all the manipulation, the word is, and I think that's the right word to use, all the trickery, all the blackmailing, emotional one, to obtain that money for their own survival. And I think many people have suffered through what you just mentioned. It's a very it's a minefield, really. Where is it that you start bringing up children of some other man who decide to have a lot of children? So let's say I'm a son and I got 5 brothers and I got useless mom and dad. I shouldn't say it, but just in case I've seen these stories. They are not working, and because somebody came here and their £1 is equal to their 300 rupees or 7 riyals or whatever, don't matter, is that I expect them to help me with my bread and butter. And as a child, you feel emotionally blackmailed if you're not helping. But where do you draw the line? Because you got this new world going on, you mutated to another person. And I think it's a very complex subject, the one you're discussing. And I think that's where maybe induction is important.
I think we have to be quite clear here, is that there are genuine people out there in situations, and there are people who actually are doing these scams, really. But that's a different subject we will sort of look at later on. There are cultural and religious expectations, which are played by family interference. Highlight some points for me on that.
When you are asking religion, because I always get cautious when people mention religion. I'll tell you why. Because people will dress up things that are not religious as religious. And that's very dangerous. Because when an observer sees it, observer says, oh, that's your religion, when it had nothing to do with the religion. And it's very sad.
It's your own mindset and how you're manipulating the situation, or how a situation has occurred.
A friend of mine, for example, is a very good friend of mine, very senior manager, and he's from a certain faith, and he's vegetarian. So when he goes into a meeting and they say, oh, you are not eating because of your religion. He always says, no, it has nothing to do, because he does not want to implicate his religion into it.
Yes.
He said, my religion does not bound me or force me to do anything. I can choose, and I choose not to eat meat. So he puts himself as if you have something to say it to me directly. I'm choosing not to have this. And I think, for example, religions are generally very objective, very mathematical process. Is we believe that it was, friend of God, son of God, messenger of God, whoever, and we believe that that person has come with a divine message. Sure. I have not met these people, you have not met none of these people. And normally when you look deep enough, thou shalt kill, for example, is a very beautiful message. So don't go around killing innocent people, or any people for that matter. But how does a human being then goes and murders thousands of people believing that philosophy? Obviously, that person has brainwashed himself or herself into some another domain that is nothing to do with that faith.
And this is when you say about being brainwashed or having lack of knowledge because you haven't approached authentic mediation with this religious or with this professional service. It is very important at these stages that you get the matters resolved in a very professional way, rather than hearsay going from one door to the other and not coming to a positive conclusion.
That's one thing. And secondly, whenever you're in a society, whichever society, it don't matter, that society has its norms, it has laws, and it has regulations. That's why induction is very important, especially mixed marriage induction. But all induction is very important. A lot of youngsters don't know what our laws are in this country. For example, to do with you can't hate, you can't do this, you can't psychologically abuse your partner, whether you're a girl or a boy, and it can land you in jail if somebody wants to take action against you. So it's how you inform people about their rights, whether it's a girl or a boy, number one, and how you inform people. Even in your case, some communities have faith plays a great role in their life, and the parents say, oh look, that's what Prophet said, you had to die for me, why aren't you just giving me 500 pounds out of 400 pounds you earn? So this person has to earn 400 pounds per week, plus he might have to go and drive a taxi or work in the evening to get 500. What they don't realize is this person has his own expenses and his own wife and maybe his own children as well. And generally from developing countries, my friends, I witnessed many times, my parents were slightly well-to-do, so it's not as bad as some friends I come across. And they used to ask them, how much do you earn? And they'll say 20,000, for example, per annum. And parents are quickly dividing it out. Think, okay, if he gives us 18,000 and we can keep 2,000 for his, because they're thinking of young men they used to give pocket money to. They don't know that this guy has a wife now and this might have a family. So I think what they don't realize, in UK, for example, you pay national insurance, you pay tax, you pay this, you pay different council tax and blah blah and rent and what have you, and you have only got £3,000 left for your social life. And a decent parent will say, okay, you got 3,000, help me out, man, I'm really hard up, I live in a developing country, I don't have social security, nothing like that, so give me 1,000 out of 3,000. But it doesn't happen that way. Most youngsters brag, they say, oh, I make 20,000, and parents are like, okay, you can keep 2,000 the way you used to be as a youngster for your 6 and what have you, and 18 is mine. And that's where the financial abuse comes along.
Because of lack of time as well, and because we have a lot to cover.
Of course, yes.
Sort of concluding from this topic, what are the best strategies for couples to really establish and maintain boundaries in terms of the interference from friends and families are concerned?
I think between themselves they can set this kind of. I think these are community issues now. And I really believe that people like yourself and people in community sector need to become active in these things. Perils of mixed marriages from different cultures, for example, you need to tell children before they get involved with that situation. What is involved with marriages and how to maintain a healthy marriage. So I think it's how we educate those children long before. We got schools that do many different things, but they don't tell you what marriage is all. I think the institution of marriage has been minimized so much in our culture nowadays.
So it's about the upbringing
and informing children what is this institution about
of becoming husband and wife,
and even
what it will entail. So you're educating them from the start. But when they become couples, and sometimes you get a situation where there are problems. So
not all husband and wife, just to interrupt.
Yeah, exactly.
Any relationship that involves male and female and or couple, any couple, they need to be made aware.
Absolutely.
That what it
so when this situation is there, it's about ensuring that you limit your boundaries, have a trust between each other, and ensure that you are asking the right advice from the right person or an agency to maintain this healthy relationship. If it is going to end, it is done amicably and is well understood.
Yeah, of course.
The steps you are able to take. But if there are unnecessary opinions that is going to damage you and and the relationship, you should be able to see and ensure that doesn't have.
And as a couple, there's
so
another thing. I like to know quite a lot about my son because he's studying away, and I need to know where is he. So when he's not safe, I know roughly where to look for him if somebody hurt him or is lying down in some back alley.
Yes.
That's a legitimate concern of a father.
Yeah.
But if he gets married and asks same questions, now I'm toxic.
Yes.
I'm doing this same thing, repeating.
Yeah.
The point is that once somebody gets married, as you said, there should be that now you're in another place. You have to mutate a little.
Yes.
And one of them is you don't give secrets of this little unit out of the unit, because it's a new unit now.
Yeah.
And I think, as I said, it has to be, as a young person, because I made so many mistakes as a young man myself, is not because you were bad, good or ugly, it's because you did not know any better.
Yeah.
And it's how we somehow come up with ideas to inform any relationship from the age of maybe 12, 13. That's where people start liking and disliking each other in most cases.
Yes.
Is how we inform that what this thing entails and how far you're supposed to go with letting your parents or friends know what's happening in this unit, because that's a separate unit.
I think it's very important to have that professional counselling.
Yes.
Set your boundaries, have a mutual respect, and establish the support network that's going to help this relationship to stay healthy, really.
Yes.
Waqar bhai, there's a lot to talk, and you've been a fantastic person to sort of discuss these subtle issues.
Yes.
And I hope to continue with some of our other episodes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Is there anything that we missed you could want to add?
Not at all. Love to the last, they say.
Yeah. Were you happy with our studio and our staff here?
It's beautiful, absolutely wonderful. What is most exciting that there are a lot of young people involved, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you
so
much.
They are our future, aren't they?
Thank you, Waqar bhai. It's been a pleasure having you at the studio. Please always do get professional legal advice according to your needs. You're welcome to give any feedback or your experiences which can help other people to improve their situations. And also don't forget to visit CWTC here for some great learning and engagement opportunities. Thank you for watching and listening. God bless and take care.